Well, I've been holding off on making this video for a few weeks, but I think I've finally built up my bravery and courage to talk about it. I did not care for Bonelab.
I did not care for The Godfather.
What?
Now hear me out. I know everyone loves this game. It's a staple in the VR communities. You see videos about this on TikTok all the time and how fun the game is and how good it is. I also know a lot of you are going to be pissed off at me for my opinions on this game, so I am going to be turning off comments for this video because I don't feel like reading them. I know the ratings are going to be horrible on this video, but please hear me out. Now I will say shout out to Smooshbug, my friend, for buying me this game for my birthday. I really appreciate it, and it is a fun time, I must say. I feel bad making a video about this game and saying I don't really like the game that much. I still think it's worth playing, and the modding saves the game. It's the most hilarious thing I've ever witnessed in any VR game, honestly. The fact you can mod a Hellcat in it and a Glock with a switch and a drum mag is just... There's a kid out there right now practicing to be a gang member without even realizing it, let's be honest. Those Crash Out Simulator videos on TikTok kind of sold me on this game too, because I kind of expected it to be as fun as those are to watch, and it wasn't in reality. I'll start off by saying this. I didn't expect to have to even play a story in this game. I guess I didn't know enough about the game to know that there is a story, and I did play through the story. The story is the most randomly placed mess I've probably ever played, ever. Like, in my life. It's the worst story I've ever experienced. It takes about 4 hours to beat, and I don't think I comprehended one thing from it. It didn't tell a story. All I remember from it is pretty much a go-kart race because I got really, really sick at my stomach on stream, and I literally rage quit off the game because I was getting so sick. It's like one of those TV shows that tells a different story every episode, but you just change into different characters with different attributes. Like, you'll change into a character that's more about speed. There's one that's more about size. There's more about strength or length. Pause. All you do in the entire story is just you're changing to different characters, and then you do things that correlate with those characters, like the long guy. You climb around this map because he has really long arms and whatever. This real big fat guy that's really strong, you knock out skeletons and pick them up and throw them, which that's a fun level, but at the end of the day, this isn't a story. This is more just like a showcase. At the end, you do get the ability to change between them, and the final level is just doing all of the activities at once in one level. Why couldn't they have just had the last level as the only level and just made it longer? Made you experience more of the same shit? Because if you're going to make me swap between all these characters in the end game anyway, why not just give me all these characters? Let me learn, oh, you have to use different characters for different things, and then call it a day. I don't know, man. It's such a weird way this game is built, and it just bothered me because it's like, you could have scrapped all the other levels and just had the last level and showed me the exact same thing you showed me by making me do all these other beginner levels all the way up into like the last level. I don't have any footage of this too, so I apologize because I literally deleted all of it. But it really doesn't tell a story whatsoever to me. It's just a showcase of levels and different avatars and how their size matters, and I guess just the environments and how different sized characters do better in different environments. I don't know. It's weird. It really disappointed me. And at the very, very end, I think it is pretty cool. It has really good music, and then the big hand reaching down for you is pretty cool. The flashbacks with like the old, you're pretty much being burned at the stake like a witch would be. And then the noose, it's pretty neat. Don't get me wrong. I thought it was pretty fascinating. I thought it was leading up to something that was really, really cool. And then it just led up to you starting a taxi. One of the developers were sitting driving, and then he just talks about some random shit. Like, everything in this game that leads to something good just ends up either ending before anything else can happen, or it leads to something boring as hell like that just led to. Just like the level when I was saying you're like the fat guy throwing around skeletons and you're knocking them out. Like, you're such a strong guy, you're a brute, you're knocking over them all. One of the funnest levels I've played, and then it just ends out of nowhere. You play them for like 5 minutes. When you're the big muscle man, when you're running around that, like, I guess the alleyways and stuff, and you have to beat up people and knock them out with bottles and bricks and bats, that's a fun level. It's like, take a level and build off of that one level and make it the entire game instead of making me have to go through all these different experiences where, oh, some of this shit sucks, some of this shit's fun. Because then if I ever replay through the game, I just want to replay the cool level. One of my least favorite levels was when the helicopter's chasing after you and you pretty much have to like parkour around the map. That shit sucked. Like, it wasn't even fun. It was neat in the sense of like it was like a Mirror's Edge kind of experience, but it sucked because the physics are ass. And I'll get into that later. One of the biggest things that bother me about the story too is that you have to beat the story in order to get the spawn gun into all of the maps you have. If you're going into modded maps and the map creator didn't add it by default, the spawn gun, I guess I should say, you're out of luck. If you haven't beat the game, you can't bring anything in, which I didn't understand why they would do that. This is a sandbox experience, and I feel like you shouldn't have to beat their boring ass story in order to have fun in all the maps you downloaded. I downloaded a bunch. I downloaded Michael's house from GTA 5, downloaded all this other stuff like an Elden Ring map room, I think it was, and I couldn't play in half of them because I just did not beat the story at the time. One of the only ones to have the spawn gun in it by nature is the 7-Eleven map, which I'm going to be honest, that's one of the funnest things. The mods sell this game, like I said again, and spawning like 20 people in the 7-Eleven and rolling up with a Hellcat and doing a drive-by has to be one of the most urban things I've probably ever done in my life. So hold on, can we roll the window down? Perfect. So here's the thing, right? How do white people do a drive-by? So about that weather, I didn't get to mess around in too many modded maps and stuff like that, and I think they're amazing. I just didn't get to play in them because I didn't beat the game until literally a day ago. And I didn't even record that. I just beat it off of stream just so I could play it if I ever wanted to on stream again. Some of the coolest experience with these modded maps is like there's a hidden room in the bottom of the 7-Eleven if you go to the elevator. All of the horror maps and stuff like that. All those are great. Like I said, Michael's house from GTA. There's really amazing mods, and I feel like everything in this game that's fun is just a mod. It's not actually anything from the base game other than your character. The polygons, that's it. It's so fun to have a game with this much diversity and mod support carrying it. But I just wish that the story wasn't so required and shoved in your face when it's lackluster and it sucks. For this game trying to sell you on their physics, they suck too. Your arms kind of feel like noodles and your legs kind of feel like stiff coilover springs if you're a car fan at all. If you ever need to mantle something or climb over, your legs never work properly. And you can hold whatever button you need, it just does not work. If you're trying to climb over a ledge, if you're trying to climb into a window, any of that, it feels like unless you can get your whole body through it, you're not going to make it through. Games that have already perfected mantling, like Contractors and stuff like that, where you just grab and it pulls you through automatically, I don't understand why this game doesn't just use that system, because I get it, it's a physics-based game, but just push me through the window. I don't want to have to deal with the whole thing that they have built up right now where you have to lift yourself up through the window and twist your body in real life just to make your legs go up higher where they can fit in the window too. It's such a headache. And people were telling me in my stream that I was doing it wrong and that you need to hold your joystick down so your legs come up, but it doesn't matter if I do that if I'm on a ledge, because it's like his lower half is stuck and I can't raise my arms anymore because of the simulated weight. I don't know how they could have done it differently without just making the body not physics-based and being a game like Pavlov or something like that where you really can't interact with anything. A game I'm really excited to see do physics is actually called Geronimo. If you haven't seen any of the gameplay of this game, they do physics really good for a VR game, and I feel like I understand that's going to be a newer game. It's just now coming out. It's not even out yet. But Bonelab kind of had that expectation of the game isn't really that old. It's only 2 to 3 years old, and I feel like they could have had these physics in the game if they tried harder instead of that it's just Boneworks. I even argue that Boneworks had a better story. There's also other VR games that have done this before where they've perfected these kind of physics, like for instance, Blade and Sorcery. Blade and Sorcery has the exact same issues that Bonelab has, but somehow it just isn't as bad. It feels like they cut the simulated weight in half, and if you weigh like 250 pounds in Bonelab, you probably weigh 125 in Blade and Sorcery. So let's say you're trying to jump to a rope or grab a ledge in Blade and Sorcery. You kind of spring around when you first grab whatever you're trying to get to in like a big circle, but it just doesn't feel as poorly as Bonelab does. Bonelab will make you spring around like a madman. It'll make me so motion sick every time I play it because there's so much simulated weight that they just added way too much of. It feels like I'm just being pulled down to the earth so hard where it doesn't make any sense. They added jiggle physics in something that you can't really add jiggle physics to because it's a VR game. And a lot of people when they play VR kind of naturally imitate what would really happen if they're picking up the object or whatever else. It's kind of just nature. It kind of gets you more immersed. But I don't know why games try and add their own version of that into it, because it's like, I feel like when you're trying to imitate something naturally, instead of the game kind of following your path where your arm is moving in real life, I feel like in Bonelab, you kind of have to follow the path of your arms. So it makes this disconnect happen in my head where I just don't feel like I'm connected to my arms in the game. Same thing with the legs. I feel like I'm not as connected with my legs because they're flopping all about. Like, it doesn't make any sense in my head because instead of it following my path, I'm having to follow its path, so it just throws everything off, and I don't know why they try and do this. It just doesn't work. When you lighten up that simulated weight, or whatever you want to call it, that sluggish kind of feeling, when you lighten it up just a little bit, it kind of mitigates that. It eases up that whole having to follow its path instead of it just following my path, because it's going to follow my weight, which should be heavier, then it's weight. Without mods, I must say the guns feel really good in Bonelab. I like the physics of the weapons a lot. The pistol feels really nice. Doing the slide, it always feels really good. Reloading, I feel like I don't have that many issues with mag other than sometimes it'll pop out for no reason. Sometimes I'll be trying to change mags or I'll be holding another mag, waiting until I run out of ammo, and it'll pop out on its own, but that's kind of how the game is built. It's supposed to make reloading easier, so I'm not going to diss it for that. It actually feels really nice. Love the physics. The fact that you can balance like mags on the side of your gun and flip it and do really cool tricks with it, I think that's neat as well. One thing I will kind of gripe about is the stocks when it comes to the rifles and the shotgun, more so the shotgun, kind of always feels like it's in your way. It always looks really weird when you're reloading too, or just really the physics of it don't really feel right. But with mods, this kind of problem is completely fixed. This game is pretty much like LA in its current state, and then the mod creators are the firefighters. They took a hold of it, put out the flames, and then planted beautiful roses everywhere. I don't know. They really fix it. The Last of Us mod, the Crash Out mods, the Hellcat mod, those are just like fun mods. But mods like the extra holsters and the increased strength, the added weapons, those actually fix issues that are in the game. I really wish there was more mods fixing the issues and gripes that I have about the game instead of so many mods that are just for fun, but I have to say the mods that are just for fun, a lot of them really do fix the problems I have with the game. Now, honestly, do I still think you should buy Bonelab? Yes. I still think it's an amazing experience, especially if you're looking at multiple sandbox games and you don't know which one to pick from. I think this is the most diverse. You can do sword fighting in it, gun fighting. I mean, you can do so much in it that you just can't do in the others. Nightclub VR is another really good option, and it's way, way cheaper. I like it more, honestly, and it doesn't have as much mod support or mods itself, but it's a lot of fun. Kind of get what you pay for here, but I feel like with VR, we never get a perfect experience, but I just really wish they would work on these things a little harder. And I don't know why people don't hold them accountable for kind of their shitty work when it comes to VR games. A prime example of that is like Tabor. Y'all already know I'm a hater of that game now, really, and like I feel like no one holds them accountable. I feel like with Bonelab, no one holds them accountable. The end of their game. I feel like we don't want to step on the toes of any VR developers because there's not many VR games being developed that are not just like cheapy free games made by like a Roblox creator. But I still think we should at least shoot for quality. There's nothing wrong with addressing the bad things about a game and still supporting the game and wishing the best for it, and that's kind of how I am with Bonelab. Yeah, I talked a lot of bad about the game in this video, but I still wish them to do the best. I still wish them to fix these problems and fix any other problems and make another game even if you have to. I don't know. I really wish the best for them, but I think it could have been done better. Anyways, I won't waste any more of you guys' time. I think this video is already like just 45 minutes straight of me yapping about nothing. If you guys want to scream at me for 45 minutes straight too because I had a different opinion than you did, honestly, I'm glad I can just dodge that bullet. I'm just for my own sanity. I'm not in the best headspace. I love you guys though, jokes aside, and I want to let you guys know that I've really been enjoying making these videos. I hope you guys are enjoying them too. I hope I didn't piss anybody off too bad saying that this game isn't as good as people say. And also, one last little thing. I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream of GTA 5 Story on March 4th. If you guys want to drop by, the enhanced edition of the game releases for PC, so I'm probably going to be running a lot of the story, but I'm also going to do a little bit of multiplayer. If you guys want to join me in an open lobby or maybe run some heist with me, anything, feel free to. Honestly, I kind of need people to play GTA with because not a lot of my friends play it. So if you guys want to join me for that, if you guys play on PC, feel welcome. Anyways, that's it, guys. I'll see you guys later, and bye.